Good morning and welcome to Worldwide Wisdom. We are studying the Kuzari today, the foundations of faith, this 8th century debate between the king of the Khazars, King Bulan, as he needed to ascertain the true faith. He debated with a philosopher, a Muslim imam, a Christian priest, and a rabbi as they jockeyed. Is that the word? As they jockeyed to ascertain, to verify each one, was presenting their views, and he was now being the arbiter of justice to be able to determine which is the true faith. Ultimately, he accepts the rabbi's position, and we're working through this beautiful book called the Kuzari. It's called In Defense of the Despised Faith, as it was written by Rabbi Yehuda Halevi, in the 12th century. So we're on page 56. No, we're going to go back a little bit to page 55. We're just going to start the response of the Kuzari to the philosopher on bottom of page 55. Now, what the philosopher essentially espoused is that he said it's all about the intention. It's got very little to do with the action. The height of human achievement is to become like an angel. You do that through wisdom. Everything, how you get there doesn't really make a difference. But you want to ensure that you're spending as much time as possible entrenched in wisdom, and then you will be fulfilling the highest and best use of a human being. Other than that, you're just wasting your time. So that's where we start now, the response of the Kuzari on bottom of page 55. The Kuzari said to the philosopher, "Your words seem logically sound and sufficient." Makes sense. However, they do not provide a solution for my quest. You said that the specific action was not important and that only knowledge and attitude of the heart mattered. Rabbi, I don't need to lay tefillin. I'm a good Jew in my heart. That's what he says, effectively, right? I know myself well enough to judge that my soul is pure and my actions are well intended before the Creator. How does he know? How does the Kuzari know that his actions are his intentions? That his soul is pure and his actions are well intended before the Creator? Because the angel came to him in a dream. That's what sparked this whole debate. The angel came to him and said, your intentions are desirable to your Creator, but not your actions. So he knew that God wants to connect with him. He's got good intentions, but he's just misguided in his actions. Despite this, I still received the message that my actions were not desired, even though my intentions were. I must conclude that there exists a set of activities which are intrinsically desirable, and not just because the thoughts attached to them are. And right here, the Kuzari rejects the position of the philosopher who said that the only thing that matters is your intention. If this were not the case, then how do you explain why the Christians and the Muslims, why Edom, which is the Christians, and Ishmael, the Muslims, two nations which have divided the civilized world between them, are constantly warring over religious practice? If practice was not important, only intention, then what are they fighting about? Each nation is of pure soul and with divine intentions. I mean, both of them are religious. Their peoples practice asceticism, fasting, and praying, yet they still go about killing each other. What's worse, they believe that this killing is a great act of righteousness and a means of coming closer to the Creator. I'm not sure what a good argument it is to bring from what kind of a good argument is it for the Kuzari to use the Christians and the Muslims to disprove the philosopher? I mean, it's a different set of rules. Like, how can you disprove the philosopher's view based on the Christians and the Muslims? Maybe they have different set of values. Maybe for them actions are primary. Follow? This is my question. I'm asking a question on the Kuzari. I don't know.
He's looking for universality.
Okay, but it's like saying I don't agree with the rabbi's sermon because my plumber does things differently. I'm like, okay, maybe your plumber has a different set of values. Like that, is that a good source? I mean, if you want to, if I'm talking about science, right, and you bring something from a scientific journal, okay, that's a source. But how are you bringing from the Christians and the Muslims, which is a different set of values, to the philosophers? Listen, this is my question.
It's not a different set of values. He says it's the same. They both fast, they both pray, they both believe.
Okay, so they also value intention. They also value intention, but maybe for them action is primary. I don't know. Maybe that's why they're killing each other.
Well, that's why he's saying that it's more than just the intent and the belief. It's got to be action. Otherwise, why would they kill each other?
So for them, action is important. Let's hear what they have to say.
Right.
But you can't tell the philosopher that you're wrong because of how they behave.
Said he didn't agree.
Okay, you want to disprove it from some other source, fine, but you can't bring me your competitor to tell me why you're wrong. Look, I don't know. I'm just making a comment. Each side believes that its path is the path to the Garden of Eden. And do not tell me to follow both religions, because adhering to two opposite faiths is totally illogical. Now, in note 18, it says, that is, the king anticipates the retort of the philosopher. If indeed the majority is doing the right thing, you found the solution to your quest. Simply adopt these world religions. In case the philosopher would have said to the king that he should follow the majority, to this the king answers that his quest is not yet completed, because two wholly opposite religions, which contain mutually exclusive elements, cannot both be correct. Again, mutually exclusive elements to each religion cannot both be correct, and he has no indication as to which of the two he should follow. Furthermore, to do the actions of both would be illogical. So the king's in a bit of a quandary. He's got to figure this out. The philosopher now replies to the king. It may be true that the masses of the world believe in organized religion and are willing to kill for it. But the philosopher's religion does not sanction murder. See, that's what he says. That's what I said. He's like, you can't bring me a proof from them, because I think they're wrong. That's what the philosopher is saying. I think they're wrong. I think that they are small-minded, shallow, superficial, and that they kill each other. They shouldn't be killing each other. The philosopher says they're wrong. Remember, this is a debate. Why are you making a face? No, you seem confused. I'm curious to know. I'm just asking. If you disagree, it's fine.
I'm defending him. He's fine. Don't worry about it.
My client reserves the right to remain silent. Okay,
Right,
fine.
exactly.
All right, good, no problem. This is because we do not believe, the philosopher says, we do not believe that any action inspired by religion, such as holy war, can elevate the individual. Rather, our whole objective is to heighten the intellect. The philosopher says, I don't know what these guys are even talking about, these Muslims and Christians. Killing each other, that's because they're pathetic. That's what he's saying. They're wrong. So don't bring me a proof from them, because I think they're wrong. So he's digging his heels in, the philosopher, right? Fair enough, he should be. The Kuzari said, is this the only criticism that you can make against the organized religions? Your only criticism is that they kill each other. What error of the other religions could be greater, according to you, than to believe that the world has not existed eternally? Remember, the philosopher believes that the world existed forever. This was Aristotelian theory. For 2,000 years, remember, for 2,000 years, the world believed people believed that the world existed forever, and they ridiculed the sages of Israel for believing in the narrative of creation. All of that was debunked about 100 years ago with the rise of the Big Bang Theory, just saying, right? But at this time, in the 8th century, and certainly in the 12th century, Aristotle was considered the gold standard of wisdom. So here's the question. What error of the other religion could be greater, according to you, than to believe that the world has not existed eternally and that it was created in 6 days? And that what you call the prime cause actually communicates with mankind. This is what the religions believe, that the Creator speaks to human beings, despite the philosopher's position, your position, that this prime cause is elevated above any temporal knowledge. According to you, the philosopher has no time or space or patience for human beings. Sorry, the Creator. The Creator couldn't care less about human beings. And they're less than mud on the bottom of his shoe, right? The best thing that a human being can do is to rise up to the point of wisdom that he might be touching the ankles, so to speak, of the angels, right? Through wisdom. But to say that the Creator actually wants a relationship with the human beings, that's counter to the whole movement of philosophy. To believe something is fundamentally, as foundational, that the world was created in 6 days, should be considered incorrect by the philosopher. This being the case, the Kuzari continues, this being the case, that you are unassailably correct and they are so wrong, Kuzari is saying to the philosopher, right, the king, then as a result of the philosopher's practices, their wisdom and their efforts at arriving at the truth, we would have expected to see prophecy abounding amongst the philosophers, because of their close attachment to spirituality. According to your view, that wisdom is the highest value, highest and best use of a human being, you should be rising to the state of the angels. You should be reaching the state. The philosophers should be like prophets, should be able to tell the future. We should have by now heard of great miracles that occurred through them. You should be able to be miracle workers, the philosophers. And they should already have achieved a reputation for greatness in the world. That didn't happen with philosophers. Philosophers might have been smart, but not miraculous. They didn't rise above the limitations of humanity according to the way the philosopher describes it. This is what they should have reached. They should become angelic effectively, right? We see, however, just the opposite. There's a story about Aristotle that he came home from a lecture about morality and ethics, and then his students saw him go home, disrobe, and go to a prostitute. So they said, how do you, what? You just give a whole lecture, man. What are you doing? So I think he said something about, that was Aristotle the teacher. This is now Aristotle I can't remember the exact words, but it's a true story. It says this is Aristotle the person, the hedonist. So hasta la vista, get out of here.
This is still the Kuzari.
Kuzari speaking, yeah.
Do what I say, don't do what I say.
Yeah. So in other words, there was like a compartmentalization here, like a total divide. We see, however, just the opposite. Those who have not studied your wisdom or prepared themselves according to your prescribed methods have achieved divine communication. Some religions have experienced divine communication, whereas philosophers have achieved none of this. You guys believe in God, philosophers, but you've never had any actual relationship with God, as opposed to the other religions. This indicates to me, says the Kuzari, that the truth about God lies somewhere else outside of what you have told me, philosopher. To quote Donald Trump, you're fired. That's what he tells him. He pretty much tells him, you're out. Or Shark Tank, I'm out. Right? Okay. So let's just do it. Let's just open up the next piece over here. Are we okay with that so far, with how he's explained the philosopher, right? Afterwards, the Kuzari said to himself, let me ask the Christians and the Muslims, Edom and Ishmael. Edom is the biblical name of the Christians. Edom is Esau. When Esau was born, he was born of reddish hue. And I think the Torah says that he was called Edom, right? So ever since then, Edom, redness is the color of Christianity, biblically speaking. Who was the father of the Muslims? Ishmael, the second son of Abraham, right, from the second wife, first son, but second wife. Ishmael is the father of the Muslims. So Edom is the father of the Christians. Ishmael is the father of the Muslims. Surely one of them must have desirable actions. Remember, the Kuzari knows his intentions are correct, but not his actions. He's trying to find out the right actions. There is no point, however, in seeking out Judaism. The fact that the Jews are so small in number and universally despised proves that they must be wrong. Wow.
Wrong logic.
Yeah. In other words, they couldn't possibly be true if there's such a tiny minority. But at this point, as the note says here, he was under the impression, he was influenced by majority at this point. He needed to speak to the big guns, right? He wasn't looking for the small guys.
Yeah, just keep reading, right?
What?
Keep reading.
He then called upon a Christian scholar and asked him about his religion. The Christian stated, let's just taste a little bit of the Christian. I believe that the universe was created and that the blessed God preceded all. Remember, Christianity started in 2,000 years ago, right? So it was already 8th century. I mean, these guys, maybe 500 years after the Council of Nicaea, when Christianity was formalized. They've been around for a while. The Muslims are relatively new to the scene. They were only like 200 and something years old at this 8th century. They were invented in 576 CE. All human beings are descendants of the first man Adam, and they trace themselves back to him as well as to Noah after him. By the way, if you haven't seen this already, I just want to encourage you to take a look at my own family tree, which my daughter and I made. It's my children going all the way back to Adam and Eve. It's a family tree. It's 131 generations, and you can find it online at jewishgardens.com/roots. That's jewishgardens.com/roots, where you can literally see a generational development, evolution of 131 generations from Adam and Eve to my kids. All human beings, Actually, one day I want to make a website. I won't have time. I want to make a website called Humanity. Humanity. I want to take my family tree, put it up there, and allow people to tap in wherever they can. In other words, my cousins, my second cousins, my 8th cousins, 27th cousins should be able to tap in. So if you can figure out a tap in, you could go in there. Do you know what I mean?
Say trademark.
Trademark. My lawyers have said trademark. Humanity is a trademark corporation of 2026. All thank you.
All rights
All ways of spelling that.
Right.
Oh, here you go.
all rights reserved.
Yeah. All human beings are descended of the first man, Adam. Well, I think a trademark might be counter to the idea, because think about it. I mean, am I not trying to make oneness out of humanity? And here I am making copyright. I don't know. All human beings are descended of the first man, Adam, and they trace themselves back to him as well as to Noah after him. Reject. Number one, that the world created by God, and number two, okay, God supervises all of creation and is especially involved with mankind. The philosopher had a problem with that. He did not accept that. God shows wrath to sinners and mercy to the righteous. God speaks and appears on different levels to prophets and other saintly persons. He dwells amongst the chosen nation of people. Who's that chosen nation according to the Christians? The Jews. However, as the Christians, some Christians have explained to me, the Jews were the chosen people, but then God realized that he made a mistake. And he made it too difficult, so he modified it. And he said, okay, we're making a new covenant, a New Testament. Instead of 613 commandments, we're going to have one commandment, the commandment of love. And whoever signs on to the new covenant is going to be the new chosen people, and that became the new Christians. So I think they think of themselves as the new Jews. I think. Sounds like. Anyways, we got to end it over here. Greeting from Chabad of Gurney, Illinois. Nice. Gurney. Where's that?
North of Chicago, there's a huge amusement park there.
Cool. Jay Sandberg here says I'm his favorite. Thank you. Are you talking about me? I don't know. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great day. Shalom, and let's make it awesome.
That's really cool.